Let's go.
Yo, episode 5, bro. What's up?
Episode 5. Let's rock and roll.
Little fucking Naruto action right here.
Oh shit! You brought the heat for the episode.
Yo, you know what we're talking about today?
What are we talking about today, Eric?
I mean, if you can't tell by the background, we're going a little feng shui out here. We're going a little ethnic.
Feng shui, bro.
We got a little ambiance to the screen, and dude, I'm really happy for this episode. I'm currently in the middle of it. We're gonna talk about Attack on Titan, bro.
Attack on Titan. Heck
dude, I can't not smile. Like there's no deactivation.
This is gonna be so fun, bro.
And just to add a little context before I let you go ahead and take the reins here. I'm currently an anime only watcher, and Leroy has read both the manga and is currently watching the live episodes.
Yeah. So I know how it ends. Eric has no fucking clue. So Eric's just following along based on the episodes that are coming out. I have the context of where we're going and how it's going to end, right? Eric is kind of just following along. So we'll kind of get like the where do you think this is going perspective versus, and then I'll be able to kind of, with the knowledge, kind of poke at the bear a little bit. So off the jump, before we even get any further into the discussion, this is spoilers, okay? We're going to be talking about hella spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, if you don't give a fuck, I mean, if you already know how it ends, you're following along like me, but you know where we're going, then, feel free to watch or whatever. But if you don't want to get spoiled, maybe you're thinking about checking it out and you're just not there yet, maybe you're on season 1 or 2, bro, just tune out right now. Honestly, it's not going to be for you because we're going to go deep in, okay?
Deep. And by the way, why are you still on episode or season 1 and 2, man? Like, go ahead and get caught up, please. Like, you're living under a rock here. Everyone's talking about it. It's probably the number one hyped anime right now. That I could
100%
by far,
100%. Especially now that Demon Slayer's done, at least for the season. Now that Demon Slayer season is done, bro, this is the only thing people are. I mean, not the only thing, but this is the most hyped for sure.
Dude, Demon Slayer is going to be its own episode because I actually loved season 2. I really
Demon
did.
Slayer's the shit, bro.
Dude. All right, fuck.
It's so good. Okay,
I know Demon Slayer OP as fuck.
So real quick, one thing we want to mention. This is IRL Quest, and the whole theme of our pod is that we talk about things that interest us. We talk about going on the IRL journey, kind of like a quest in game where you have the main story, you have side quests that you go on. Life is kind of like a quest, and the goal is to hit the objective. And the objective is to live as good a life as you can, right?
Agreed.
And so part of that is things that you get enjoyment out of. And one of the main things that we get enjoyment out of is anime, dude. We love anime, bro. It's kind of a nerd thing to talk about, but I don't care, bro. I fucking love anime. I've loved it for, I would say, 80% of my life. Since I basically became aware of what it is, I've been a massive fan, bro. So where are you with that? Have you always liked anime? Has anime always been a part of your life, or is it something that you've come into recently?
Yeah, so for me, I'm on the same boat. Like, there's very few content, I guess, like types of media consumption that I personally undertake that has such a profound effect on me as a person. I've had like life choices, pretty much like formulated through anime. It's really weird to say, and it sounds completely ridiculous, but it's always been around a part of my life. I have 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother, but the older brothers would watch Dragon Ball Z as a kid. I remember when I was like 5 years old on like the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2. I think it was PlayStation 1. I could be wrong. There was like a Dragon Ball Z game that came out, and I was just like watching my older brother play it while I'm like sitting like Christmas Day, just watching them like, oh wow, that's so cool. Like it's always been a part of me. To this day, I watch it. I mean, I rep the merch. Like it's I have no shame in it, honestly. The same way that people love sports and like cartoons and Superman and Marvel, Naruto, anime in general, like One Piece specifically, is just a huge component of my life. Dude, I will say this outright: the most emotions I've ever like had in a form of media has been from anime. Like I've never cried as much watching a movie
I
or
agree
like
with you
I've
100%.
never been as happy or like ecstatic watching like a TV show.
Yeah.
I fully like deep dive into the idea of anime as a whole, and it's just something that like to this day I thought like internally like, dude, you're already in your late 20s, like are you really gonna watch? Like, yes, I am gonna watch anime until the day I die, and if I don't, it's because I'm dead.
Bro, obviously this episode is about Attack on Titan, but you're wearing a Naruto shirt,
More
and
not for sure.
we're talking about how anime has drawn so many emotions, or it has that effect on people. To me, probably the most emotional moment I've ever experienced watching anime has come from Naruto. Specifically, two key moments in Naruto. Spoilers if you don't know Naruto.
Yo, come on now.
Mute the next 2 minutes, okay?
If we're trying to give you spoiler alerts for Naruto, bro, this isn't the podcast for you, bro. This shit's been dead. This has been
No, no,
dead
no, no.
for
This
like.
this is the podcast for you. Just we're just
No, it's not.
2 minutes,
Fuck outta
2 minutes, bro. The two moments, right, that have drawn the most emotion from me from all anime, bro. One, the Jiraiya scene, the death of Jiraiya, right?
You know, Jiraiya is my favorite character,
The
right?
death of Jiraiya, right? And everything and all the context and everything surrounding that, very emotional. Number two, Shikamaru and his professor, bro.
His professor? You mean
Yeah,
like sensei?
his sensei. What was his name, bro? I haven't seen in a long time.
Asuma?
The guy that fights with the blades, bro.
Yeah.
When he went down fighting the Akatsuki, fighting what's that guy's name? Hidan, I think, or the guy who is
Yeah,
immortal,
it's
basically.
Asuma is the sensei.
Yeah. When
Or
him, Shikamaru, and
Hidan.
like when him, Shikamaru, and two of the dudes, they get caught up fighting these dudes, and he like basically sacrifices himself and he goes down. And then you have like the whole like flame, like the flame of the hidden leaf, and now I pass it on to you or whatever. That was very emotional, bro. Like I was fucking crying for that, bro. But that's the point, bro. Other than that, normally try not to be emotional, right? In my real life, trying not to be emotional.
Yeah.
But those two moments drew that emotion from me.
Dude, but
Anyways,
it's not even. It's wait, but hold on, and it's not even like this. The sad moments, like that's like I also cried during Jiraiya. I was super saddened by Asuma passing away. Rest in peace. Neji was another hard hitter. Even Abuto was like pretty sad, bro, because they give you all this backstory, and that's the great thing about anime. It's like I feel like traditional TV shows really don't get that deep and that like that heavy in the backstory to where like you truly form this bond with a character. But can we talk about like some of the highlights of like Naruto specifically, like the positive? Do you remember that? I don't know if you were watching Naruto back then, but were you live when it switched from Naruto to Naruto Shippuden?
I don't remember the transition well. I think that was I alive? Of course. I'm 25 years
No, I
old,
meant
right?
like live, as in like were you like an active watcher?
Oh no. This was by the time I like became sentient, essentially, of what anime was. That it was more than just random cartoon episodes on Adult Swim. That it was actually like a progressive like story series being told, right? When I became aware of that, Shippuden was already rolling. Shippuden
Dude,
was already rolling.
for me, I caught up during the Sasuke hunt. So I was live towards the end of the original Naruto. So like every episode I was watching. And dude, the anticipation and excitement I had for when Shippuden came out, because we knew it was a time skip. Like they announced it was gonna be a time skip. And you through this whole ride, you saw Naruto as like this 13-year-old boy, pretty immature. And then you're like, oh man, like how are they gonna draw these characters? How are they gonna look? And that first episode where like in Shippuden, I don't know if you remember it, where like Naruto's like jumping from like rooftop to rooftop, and they're not showing his face right away, dude. And then you see him like stretch and like he's like looking out into the Leaf Village, dude. That was like banger quality episode, bro. And that excitement I rarely get for like. There's only a few like outside of anime, like Spider-Man is one, but Naruto set the bar pretty high.
Anime is the undisputed GOAT in terms of like storytelling, entertainment, and shit like that. When it comes to like visual media, it's in my opinion the best thing, right? A lot of people might shit on it and be like, bro, at the end of the day, it's a cartoon. It's not a fucking cartoon, bro. Okay. especially like and for, by the way, as someone who watches anime and someone who like has watched anime for a long time, I cringe. Do you cringe at the people who are like, yeah, but I watch it in English, the English dub? That I want to honestly die when they say that. That is so cringe. You have to watch it in Japanese. By the way, someone told me we were saying cringe too much, but you have to watch it in Japanese. Okay,
I think you're saying cringe too much, bro.
maybe. You got to watch it in Japanese. You have to watch the dub. Not the dub, sorry. You got to watch it sub with the subtitles, read it as it's going on. That is how it's meant to be watched. That's how it's produced in Japan. And so I feel like you don't really, because it's made in Japan, dude, like the culture is different. And so some of the things that they try and get across, it's just different, right? So you don't get the full emotion and the full perspective of what they're talking about if you're listening to an English translation. So you got to watch it in Japanese.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on you, bro. And this is someone who's coming from a subbed only perspective. I think that's gatekeeping quite a bit. I think that some people, especially if English isn't your first language, or like you're not able to read really well. I know personal people in my life who have an issue with like reading subtitles while watching a show. And so, while I agree that like subbed is the professional, like that's how it was meant to be consumed, subbed was also meant to be consumed without having subtitles to the average Japanese person.
True.
And so subtitles by nature are distracting. And so while I agree that the infliction of voice, the emotion, I feel like I get more immersed in anime when it is in subs. But dude, if the drawback is that you're getting too distracted by the subtitles to where you can't even like visually look at all the scenes, then I get why watching it in dubbed might be better for you. But you know what?
I suppose.
You know what? At the end of the day, it's all like if you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it. If you like anime, hey, that's great. I personally don't want to shit on anyone who watches dubbed. I'll never personally watch dubbed unless there's very few animes that I'll watch in dubbed. Dragon Ball Z is one of them, just because that's how I grew up.
Yes. The only exception to dubbed is Dragon Ball. I cannot stand Goku's voice in Japanese.
Well, did you know that the voice of Goku in Japanese is actually voiced by a female voice actor?
Yeah. And it sounds so bad. Like when you jump from dub to sub, Dragon Ball Z, we all watched the dub growing up, right? It's just not the same. Like it feels very weird. That's the only exception, right? Everything else, I'm gonna shit on you if you watch dub. By the way, guys,
and you know what part of the issue with dubbed is, just to add to it, is back then, like during Dragon Ball Z, when One Piece was eventually released a couple years after, they didn't have too many voice actors at like a high level. So if you actually go back and watch, if you listen to the voice actors in English of Dragon Ball Z and then you watch One Piece, they reuse like 90% of the Dragon Ball Z voice actors for One Piece. And that sort of breaks the like immersion for me. Is like, for example, I believe Luffy is voiced by Gohan. Zoro is voiced by Piccolo. They have Vegeta in there somewhere. It's a lot of the same voice actors. And that's what sort of kills it for me, is that like, dude, I want each character to be its own sentient like being. I don't want to be thinking of Piccolo when I see a One Piece character.
Yeah.
And then I guess Japan was more established in that as like a career path, at least back then.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variance in like the voice acting. A lot of it's, dude, the emotion, and like it's just so clean, bro. It's hard to get that from English voice acting. It's just tough, man.
Yeah. I agree 100%. So I guess let's jump right into Attack on Titan, right? Let's.
We 15 minutes in.
Here we go, guys. Attack on Titan. By the way, during this episode, I'm gonna be sipping on a little Zevia. Okay.
What is that?
A little Mountain Zevia. It's a 0-calorie soda, with the sugar that's being used, or the sugar replacement being stevia, which is naturally occurring in plants and stuff like that.
Is it more like a seltzer?
No. It's kind of like diet soda, but instead of using aspartame, which is the what is usually used in diet soda to give it like the sweet flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's using stevia.
But does it taste like Diet Coke? What does it
Well,
taste
this
like?
is stevia Mountain Dew, right?
Oh, okay,
So
Mountain Dew.
it tastes. It's very minimal the distinction. Um, so let's jump into it.
Dude, Attack on Titan. What a masterpiece. And I'm not even
What
done yet. I'm not even done yet.
what a goated anime story series, bro. And it is so different from season 1 to season 4, bro. Like the progression of the story, there is a specific moment in the story where everything changes, right?
Well, wait,
Um,
let's not jump too far ahead. Let's talk about how, at least because I've been following Attack on Titan since season 1. So like
me too. Yeah.
my little brother got me into it. I have never stopped watching it. I took a break during season 2 because it got really slow at some points.
Yeah.
But after season 2, I was an every week I would watch it type situation.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
not just
current,
that. There was like a massive cutoff between like season 2 and like season 3. Like they hadn't produced any episodes for like years or some shit like that, right?
yeah,
So
they had a couple year hiatus. I think it
and
was
you
like 3 years, 4
bro,
years.
when AOT first came out, it was like the only thing people would talk about. Where you ever been to an anime convention or like one of these like Comic Con, Super Con
Dude, I want to
conventions?
go so bad, bro.
Dude, I've been to SuperCon a couple times, and I remember back when AOT was like first coming out, bro. That's everyone had a SuperCon had an AOT sort of outfit in a certain way. Whether you were wearing one of the bomber jackets or whatever the case may be, everyone was rocking that, bro. That's how big it. I think most people know about Attack on Titan. It's massive, right? So there's a lot of animes that are very good, but they're more low key. That you have to be like it's not as mainstream as Attack on Titan or like Naruto or One Piece, right? Or Dragon Ball that everybody knows about. But Attack on Titan, man, like so good, dude.
Dude, like the idea is that like I think the general consensus was you were going into that show thinking like it was the humans versus the Titans.
Yeah, and that
And
was such yeah,
how quickly the story switched
yeah,
on us was very impressive, and it was such a smooth transition all the way through.
yeah. And
And
there's so much mystery, right, from the jump, bro. Like why, like, and the way they set it up, that's why it was so captivating from the beginning, right? Because there's so much mystery. There's so much like, what the fuck is going on here? Why are humanity's been relegated to these walls? Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, what happened that suddenly the Titans attacked randomly? Like, where do they come from? What's the background story? Why do they
dude,
look like humans? They're basically like giant mutated morphed humans. Why do they look that way? There's so much going on from the jump that it's so interesting, bro. And how everything ties in is ridiculous. That's
dude,
what really propels it to like goat status. Not goat status fully, I think, but like up there in the higher echelons of all-time animes, I think.
I personally think that Attack on Titan deserves a place in the top 10 of all time. I don't know how it
I don't
ends
know.
though. I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
how
I
it
don't know.
ends because you have more information than me, so it might have a
It
bad
ends.
ending.
No, I think it ends well. But I don't know if I put it there. I think there's a lot
What
of goats.
like, dude? I don't know, bro, because I know we're gonna have a more deeper conversation on this with another episode. But one of the criteria I vote on, like what's in my top 10, is one of the like stats is like quality of episode, um, over the span of this entire series. So Attack on Titan to me has like 90% of the episodes straight fire, bro.
Are
Like
bangers. Yeah.
whether it's either added information like storytelling or amazing fight scenes, either way, it's always high quality. And there's a
Almost
few
every yeah.
small episodes in season 2, I believe, that like I sort of like deramped from, but dude, overall quality anime. And I would personally put it top 10 of all time.
Interesting. Well,
But dude, but specifically about Attack on Titan is at the start, and this is what I think a lot of animes fail at. In the first episode, you're already like immersed in this world. Like they gave such an amazing
introduction.
introduction, and like the scenery, the design, like it felt like it wasn't just one other high school anime trope. It didn't feel like it took episodes to ramp into, that you have to settle into. From the first episode, you're like, holy moly, bro! Like
Yeah.
this is getting real,
Yeah.
and I don't think it ever really stopped. Like
Yeah.
the more I went in, the more questions were proposed, and the more intrigued I got.
Yeah. There are some animes that you have to give it like the 10, 15, 20 episode respect, which is a massive barrier to entry where it's like, okay, it doesn't really scale, it doesn't really start getting good until episode 20. Like one of my favorite animes is, I wouldn't put it top 10 or anything like that, but it's one that I enjoyed. So I watched it back in high school. It's called Hitman Reborn. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I've seen Hitman Reborn.
So Hitman Reborn, the first 20 episodes are a meme, or the first like 19 episodes are stupid BS, right? It isn't until episode 20 when shit starts to go down that the anime fully comes into its own with the combat and everything like that, that it really starts to get interesting, right? And then and from there it scales into like super fun, awesome the whole time, right? And it just gets better with the different mafia families fighting each other and shit. That and it gets really good, really fucking good, right? But at the beginning, the first 19 episodes, that's a high barrier to entry where it's like, bro, I'm not enjoying episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what I mean? Only people who are really into anime will fucking tolerate that shit. But Attack on Titan, from the episode 1, from like 10
Episode
minutes into
one.
episode 1, shit is going down, and it's going down hard, right? And it captures you from the jump. So I think that's a huge plus, right? It's very easy to get into it, and it's very easy for the average viewer to really enjoy it, right?
If you're not grossed out by gore and anything like that, I feel like that's something that is a shocker to a lot of non-anime viewers. Is that most cartoons, even though it's not considered a cartoon, a lot of people generalize anime to be like cartoons, to have such the visual effect of like a titan eating a human, seeing the blood spatter is quite the culture shock to some people.
Yeah, it's
But
actually kind of rough, to be honest with you.
but if you're okay with that, the storytelling is amazing. It the anticipation of like the basement was like was held for years,
The basement.
and it's just such a great, amazing part of anime history, and I think it's gonna hold. I don't know the ending, so that's why I can't give it the full. I don't like putting it on lists until I know from start to finish what the
Yeah,
anime is like. But I would be very surprised if this does not go to top 10.
dude.
I haven't checked my anime list, but I'm sure it's up on the first page for sure.
And guys, the crazy thing is that part of everything that's tied into the anime, like the whole story of the anime, bro, there's like time travel involved. Not really time travel, but it's sort of like everything was always going to be this way, and everything was always planned to be this way from the jump, right? And it's crazy how they show you like the events of the story start with the wall coming down, right? And then but there's so many events before that lead up to the wall coming down, and then so many events after that, characters in towards the end of the chronological order of the anime, like episodes as they come out, as the story is revealed to you, towards the end, they already fucking know what's gonna happen because of certain aspects, like the power of the fucking Attack Titan,
Mm-hmm.
like how Aaron basically from the jump knows all those knows everything that's gonna happen. As soon when he touches Historia and he sees everything that's going down, he sees everything from the past and the future because of all the people who have had the Attack Titan. He inherits all their memories essentially.
Well,
Like
he only sees up to the rumbling, correct? I believe that's the logic, is that Aaron can only see attack titans that existed, and I believe I maybe you know more as the manga reader, but from my perspective, we don't even know if there's an attack titan after Aaron. So if that's the case, then he should only have known up to the rumbling, I believe.
he knows up to the last the Attack Titan before him is his dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Aaron's dad has all of Aaron's memories.
Yeah, because Aaron goes back to give him the memories.
He knows from the jump everything that's gonna happen, right? All the Attack Titans have like the whole perspective of history, essentially, because they inherit. As far as I understand it, they don't just inherit the past, right? Like the people before them, like One for All. It's not they don't just inherit the past. They also see like all the people in the future because and I think that's how it is because remember in the scene where
Grisha.
with the owl, right, with Grisha
Yeah, Grisha and the owl.
before he gets like turned into the Titan, and then the owl like kills him, gives himself to Grisha, and then Grisha becomes Attack Titan, right?
Uh-huh.
In that scene, the owl, he's like, "We're doing this for Armin, for Mikasa, for Eren." So he and those people haven't been born. So you have all those people in the future, and until that point, Grisha is not the Attack Titan, right? So
Yeah.
from the jump, the first Attack Titan to the end, they essentially share that line.
I dude, this is maybe there's like a disconnect here, but I thought the only thing Grisha learns was through Eren going back in time with his brother, and the memories that were imparted through him looking back in time were the memories that Grisha remembered. Is that not correct?
There, right. It's a little confusing, but the problem with that is that how does the owl know all that shit?
Well, because I mean, technically Grisha could have gone back, or Eren could have gone back, right? We don't know this in the anime yet, but the idea is how would Grisha know, right? So use the same line of logic. How does Grisha know about what's going to happen?
Because he's Attack Titan.
But yeah, he was an Attack Titan, just like how the owl was an Attack Titan. And then, so from what I understand is that Attack Titans don't go in the future. You can't affect the future, but you can go into the past to then technically change the future.
But then how does the owl know?
I'm assuming it's because one of the future Attack Titans go back, whether it's Grisha or Eren, or if there's another Attack Titan after that. I'm not sure. It's really weird because they don't really describe it too well, and they keep it a little ambiguous on how much an attack. So, for example, Grisha doesn't know what happens after the rumbling.
Here's the thing. Here's the theory. Actually, I just came up with right now. I think it only occurs that way if Attack Titan is paired with royal blood, because Eren inherits Attack Titan and he doesn't know anything until he touches Historia.
Mm-hmm.
Once he comes in contact with Historia, then he has the visions and he sees everything, right? He sees everything as it unfolds.
Well, he was having dreams about it too, though, even before that.
Maybe there's, I don't remember him having dreams. Maybe there's that aspect. But like, I guess when he touches Historia, he sees the rumbling. You know, he sees all of that going down. And so that's why he's like shocked in that moment, right? And it hits him of what he has to do, right? It's crazy.
Dude,
because
what a great piece of storytelling, bro.
Crazy.
They do like they do time travel a bit differently than like common, like, for example, Avengers. Like Avengers has multiple timelines, multiple dimensions. Attack on Titan is all on a singular plane.
Yeah, it's all singular plane. They don't go through multiple parallel universes. No, it's all, they just are able to look back through the power of the Attack Titan. That's the only time travel sort of thing, right?
I believe the ideology is that like this person by nature was going to go this route. And so like even if Eren knew what was going to occur, he still wanted that to occur because by nature that's who he is. And so like even if you go back in time and try to give the recipe of success, so like for example, if Eren went back in time and instead of giving Grisha the tools to actually help Eren, even if Eren would have gone back in time and did the reverse, it still would have ended the same way because that's his true intent. That's human nature. I believe that's the general consensus with this whole narrative of time travel, is that even you're not going to change the future because it's already occurred, and that's how it is. Like you as a person, that's how you're going to operate.
Yeah, it's so interesting, man. Dude. So, but before we go any further, let's do a little fun exercise, right?
Let's do it.
So, at the same time, well, not at the same time, but let's review our favorite characters from the fucking show, bro.
All right, you want to go first or me?
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen here.
You better not take my character, boy.
Who my favorite character in the show is, bro, and it might not be someone that you'll think is typical. Like I think most people will go for like fucking Levi or some shit.
Levi, yeah.
Let me show you my favorite character in the fucking show, bro.
Let me see. I'm excited. I'm a little nervous what you're gonna pick. Actually,
Um,
don't tell me it's Armin, bro. I'm gonna smack you upside the head.
let me show you my favorite character. Here we go. Erwin Smith,
Captain.
dude.
Woo!
Erwin
Dude,
Smith.
what a great character, bro.
This
Jeez,
guy.
I have respect for you, bro.
This guy was years. He was so ahead for his age. His father talking to him about how, like, yo, like, this is not it, bro. Like, there has to be history before the wall. There's something weird going on. Planted that seed in his head where he started questioning, right? And why does humanity have no history prior to, the walls going up, coming behind Rose, Mario, whatever? So we can talk about that. But this guy, he is like the visionary of the show, bro. He's the one who's pushing the scout regiment like, yo, guys, you remember that scene where he comes up behind Aaron and he's like, what do you think the enemy is?
Dude, what?
Dude, that sent chills down my spine, bro.
You know what sent chills down my spine, bro? Is the fucking speech he gave as he's leading his men and himself into death, bro. Can we pull up that speech? Is that possible? Can we do a quick little clip?
Pull it up right here.
Please, bro. I'll make my heart happy, bro. Dude, you picked such a great character. You know what? He's actually top 3 for me. Top 3 best characters.
100%.
100%.
All right, hold on. Just give me a sec here.
I mean, this might be a little off topic. I mean, it has to do with Erwin or whatever, but I think they made the wrong choice, bro. I think they should have kept him and slayed Armin, bro.
All right, here we go, bro. I'm pulling up the scene.
Let's see it.
Bro, I disagree. Okay. I think Armin, you have to pick Armin, right? And they were always going to pick Armin, right? But let's see.
That's garbage, bro. We can talk about that after the scene, but I don't like after this scene. I think it's just gonna hit different.
Here we go. Let me end my screen share, and let me share this. All right, boys, fair use. This is a Crunchyroll. Oh, Beast Titan. Hey, Beast Titan, thanks for this video, bro. Good shit, dog. Thanks for posting this.
What a clean throw.
We're gonna talk about it real quick. Here we go. My boy Zeke. Fair use. Fair use. Fair use.
総員による騎馬突撃を目標獣の巨人に仕掛ける。当然目標にとっては格好の的だ。我々は目標の投石のタイミングを見て一斉に深淵弾を放ち投石の命中率を少しでも下げる。我々がおとりになる間にリヴァイ兵士長が獣の巨人を
Levi, the goat.
以上が作戦だ。
何？
何？
俺だけ立体軌道で獣に接近しろと。獣の周りは更地だぞ。利用できるような木も家もねえ。
いいや。ちょうどいい高さの立体物が並んで突っ立ってた。巨人を伝って忍び寄り、獣の巨人を奇襲しよう。
This guy, bro. What a plan. What a masterfully executed plan.
Here it is.
ここに突っ立っていても、じきに飛んでくる岩を浴びるだけだ。すぐさま準備に取り掛かれ。
俺たちは 今から死ぬんですか？
Holy shit.
そうだ。
そうだ。
どうせ死ぬなら最後に戦って死ねということですか？
そうだ。
いや、どうせ死ぬならどうやって死のうと、命令に背いて死のうと意味なんかないですよね。
全くその通りだ。全くもって無意味だ。どんなに夢や希望を持っていても、幸福な人生を送ることができたとしても、岩で体を砕かれても同じだ。人はいずれ死ぬ。ならば人生には意味がないのか。そもそも生まれてきたことに意味はなかったのか。
Holy
死
shit.
んだ
Fair use,
仲間
fair
も
use,
そう
fair
なの
use.
か。あの兵士たちも無意味だったのか。いや違う。あの兵士たちに意味を与えるのは我々だ。あの勇敢な死者を、哀れな死者を思うことができるのは聖者である我々だ。
I have goosebumps,
我々
bro.
はここで死に、
Holy shit.
次の聖者に意味を託す。それこそ唯一この残酷な世界に抗う術なのだ。兵士を怒れ、兵士を叫べ、兵士を叩け。
God damn.
Wow.
Holy shit, dude.
No, it doesn't matter. I've
I'm
seen that so
telling
many
you.
times, and each time it just hits me, bro.
Irwin, bro. Irwin's my pick. I think he's for sure my favorite character in the show. Just how much of an impact he has, how much of a visionary he is. That was kind of like his last stand, but he's sort of like makes shit happen throughout the entire show. He's like the main leader up until like that point, right?
He's
So,
the like. So I mentioned earlier how like I think he should have stayed versus Armin. I know there's arguments for both, and I think for the whole sake of like Armin being close to Eren, I think it had to be Armin. But the tactician he was, the intelligence he exuded, bro, the maneuvering he had throughout the whole series, he just does it better than anyone in the show. Even to this day, like even in like the anime, they've made Armin like dumb as fuck in the 4th season, bro. Like, he's constantly panicking, questioning himself. Like he's not a leader, bro. He pretty much leaves it to Hanji, bro. And like Hanji ain't no fucking Erwin, bro. I'm sorry to say it.
yeah,
And,
pretty
and
much.
you know what?
Armin
Go ahead,
comes
bro.
into his own. Okay, right now he's a little disrespected, but
Dude, he's been hella disrespected,
we'll
bro.
see how it ends, bro. We'll see how it ends.
I hope so. I hope he grows a pair and he takes command and he makes the tough decisions that he has to make as a leader, because it's hard, bro. It's hard to get behind Armin right now. And I know things are gonna change, I'm sure. And yeah, bro, I really respect the pick, bro. He's top 3 for me. What an amazing! I was surprised. I didn't know if you were gonna go this way or not.
Yeah, I went with this dude, bro.
What's your favorite scene of his?
Of his? I think it's the moment where he tells Eren, he leans over Eren's shoulder and he's like, "Who do you think the enemy is?" Bro, like the fact that he's even thinking about that, right? Because up to that point, everything is like the Titans. We're fighting against the Titans, right? At that point, nobody knows anything about Reinhardt, about Annie, Reinhardt, Bertolt, whatever. None of that is known, right? And so it's the point where they capture a Titan in the camp. And in the camp, you know, they keep the Titan alive. They maintain it, right? Somehow, the Titan dies in the camp, dude. They wake up and the fucking Titan's dead. You know what I mean?
True.
That's when he leans over Eren's shoulder and he's like, "Who do you think the enemy is?" There you go, bro. It's like, so he knew from the jump. He was such a visionary in that sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, it just if we're being like fully, like not to toot my own horn or anything, but it was always fishy from the start. Like, why are these humans subjecting themselves to such a closed-minded ideology? Like, I get it. They had the scouts, that scout regiment that was funded to explore past the walls, right? But to me, it seems like such an underfunded endeavor. And like, if it really was a threat of like Titans like being an issue, like why instantly decide that they're not going to explore it? Like, why not take the opportunity to heavily fund, like sort of like how humans use the funding of NASA and all of that to explore the moon and space? Why did they not decide that maybe there's more to this Earth? And so that was on my mind even like in the first season. But for Erwin to be like, yo, like it's not the Titans that are enemies, it's actually fellow humans. I was like, oh, okay, this show is gonna get serious now. Now
Yeah.
we're gonna learn.
Dude, do you remember like one of the crazy scenes in the anime? Like once they start to develop the story a bit more, right? Past it's just they're out here trying to survive from the Titans. Do you remember that the episode, the scene where like part of the wall comes down and there's a fucking Titan eye in the wall? That was it's like, and then it gets revealed like, oh, there's Titans in the walls. That was fucking crazy, right? And so that's when like the story starts to get really pushed and develop more.
Oh, man. Dude,
the reveal of Reinar and Berthart and Annie, like that's fucking crazy.
Dude, all of it from start to finish, it just felt like. Have you ever played Pokemon games before?
Of course.
Do you remember like a little fucking side topic here, but remember like in early on when you're getting the badges, one of the first badges you usually get is like a flash. It's like a HM.
Yeah.
And in like Emerald, did you ever play Emerald or Ruby or Sapphire?
I played Emerald, yeah.
Okay, so you know how like when you go into like tunnels or like even in the second gym leader for Emeralds, it's like completely darkened and you only have a small radius where you can see.
Yeah.
That's literally what Attack on Titan was for us. We have such this small radius within the walls and within the information we know, and slowly but surely the show expands our vision, revealed in such a clean and concise way without feeling like it was an ass pull or like a stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
I just love it, man. I love it, honestly.
Yeah, bro. We could talk about. Okay, well, actually, let's reveal your character. Who's your favorite?
Okay. All right, let me just go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and request the.
Yeah, go ahead and show us, bro. Who do you got
over here?
Who you got as your favorite, bro? I think it's gonna be hard to beat Erwin, bro. So don't pick anybody basic. I'm gonna predict who you're gonna pick. You're gonna pick Gene or some shit.
Go ahead, click on it.
Eren Yeager, bro. Like,
bro.
Come on,
God
bro.
damn, he is the most nuanced character in the show, in anime, bar none, bro. And the development he's personally took under the course of 4 seasons, I love him, bro. I love the like the divisiveness he provided to the show. Like when he was going all rogue in like season 4, dude, I loved it, man, because you didn't know what side he was on. And that is such a hard thing to pull off in an anime where you don't even know if the main protagonist is for you or against you. Well, I don't think any other anime has done that for me.
Well, the question
people
is,
were like, is Eren bad? Like what is going on here, bro?
But that's the thing. Attack on Titan is such a nuanced anime. It's like, what is bad? Who is in the wrong? You know what I mean? It's not black and white.
Exactly. That's the message they give, that it's really like you pick a side and each side has very valid points to why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah. There's no like the typical cartoon villain, like, I want to take over the world because I'm evil and I want to dominate everything. No. There is no character that's like that. Every character has a motivation that's clearly explained. Now, you may disagree with it. You may think that they're totally misled, but you have to at least respect the fact that there are no cartoon villains and no cartoon heroes. Everyone has their own motivation for why they're doing certain things. You may identify more with one than the other, but at the end of the day, like, the anime doesn't really push a certain, like, oh, these guys are bad, these guys are good. It kind of like leaves it up for you to sort of decide. It's like, oh, these are the motivations of the characters. And so the way the storytelling develops, I think most people naturally feel inclined to support like Eldia and the people on the island on Paradise, because that's where the anime starts. Those are the characters that you get to know from the jump. And then I think towards the end they start pushing the Eldia narrative again, right? Like, oh, Eldia, like, look at what Eren's doing, whatever. But bro, like if we talk about Marley, bro, Marley is like bro, these people were like crushed for years by the Eldians. They were like like oppressed and fucking
That's
on
the
the fuck,
story.
like had their like the Eldia had their fucking boot on their throat their whole like for thousands of years. And so finally when they're able to kind of like break out of that, does anyone blame them for then, you know, trying to flip the script? You know, does anyone blame them
I
for,
don't think there's blame in either way. So I think like for example the Eldians, like it makes 100% sense why they would want to be free, why they wouldn't want to. Are you going to punish them for the mistakes of their ancestors and the oppression that they provided?
well, that's what the king does.
That's what the king does. The king then decides like, hey, like I'm gonna self isolate. I'm gonna keep the Eldians over here where we can't do any harm, and then, but that's the thing is that he takes away free will, and then that's a subject that you could go into where it's like, is that the type of freedom that you want? Is that the type of safety where you're giving up your free will to provide that?
Yeah.
And that, dude, it's just a but anyway, back to Eren, bro. Before we get too off track, Eren is such a nuanced character, and I love the drastic change of personality he undertakes throughout the whole series. The idea that he comes in as this little baby whining kid, um, and as they add little snippets of information, and as he grows as a character, you see his reasoning and rationale, and he goes through the same heartache and pain as most of the other characters in this show. And it's just a matter of like, which way is he taking it? Is he gonna become more of himself, or is he gonna change himself? And what I
Yeah.
love is, this is a theory I have because I haven't fully watched I haven't read the manga in full, but in the fourth season, when like Eren's trying to be this badass, like in the picture to the right where he's got the samurai cut, bro, and he's like evil, like he not evil, but like he has a very dark demeanor.
Yeah.
I think he's just burdened by the job he has to undertake, and I think
Yeah.
that's warped him as a person. But I still think underneath it all, he's still this whining kid who's like just emotional, and he's just putting on this facade because he knows he has to be like sort of like a Code Geass situation where
Sort
like
of like he has to be like the Messiah. He has
he
to
has
like
to be the Messiah. He has
deliver.
to be the one that dies for and because he knows that, he's like, I gotta put on this persona, and I have to do this for my people, for Armin. That's my perspective. I don't think he's like evil, or like, obviously there's no right or wrong in this show. But I don't think he's mentally deranged or like changed his ideology too much. I think he's still the base person of like this kid who just wants to be free, and he wants his friends to be free. He wants the Eldians to be free, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen, even if it
Yeah.
means betraying his own blood brother, bro. And you know what,
Yeah.
dude? This is just a fine piece of writing, and I think Eren has shown us, like with with Erwin. Erwin's developed a lot too, but we've been able to follow this journey with Eren specifically, and see throughout season over season, he's really just tried to do what's best for him and his friends. And I think, even though right now we're in this point in the anime where the rumbling just occurred, and like he sent the Titans to pretty much destroy the world.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, like that's most human nature. Like, when you don't really care if you hear about someone in San Francisco getting cancer. Like, yeah, it's sad or whatever, but you do care when it's your own family member getting cancer, and it has a lot more of impact.
Yeah. It's a very us versus them mentality, where it's like, oh, we're the island devils, right? All these people want to like crush us and oppress us. Therefore, we're going to, you know, kill everybody else because ultimately
Can we
it's
make
us versus them.
the reference that like that the island is almost like Russia in a way? Like, they have all the nukes.
Well, to me, you know what really struck me, like what comparison it was. It almost felt like Marley was like Nazi Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and the Eldians are like the Jews, essentially, are the Jewish people.
That's a great comparison too.
Because even when they go to Marley and you see how the Eldians in Marley are treated, they're like third-class
camps.
citizens. They're basically in burrows. They're treated as trash. Like they have soldiers at the gates monitoring everything that they're doing. They have to wear armbands to identify themselves as Eldians. You know what I mean? Some of them who are good get special privileges, become honorary citizens of Marley, right? Um, and so they basically use them as a farm to cultivate like warriors, which are the people who can take on the different titans to fight for
Can we
Marley.
make a point though that like earlier on you mentioned how like Eldians were originally this evil in a sense, where they were taking over countries, they were doing the same thing that's currently happening in reverse, right?
Yeah,
Where Marley or Marley or
they were
whatever.
the strongest nation by far. They were dominating everybody.
But like it's like it's pretty much shown that even when Marley has this power, they're abusing it just like the Eldians would. Where like
Exactly, they're doing the same
if it
thing.
was truly for the greater good, like the king, where he isolated them, I think that was like for the greater good. It was like isolate them, don't let them know about the powers they have and the impact on the world that they could have, and let's live this peaceful life in ignorance. I think that was a better action to take than to just Marley, like in the comparison of like Germany and the Jews, um, to pretty much use their powers for their own need and for their own greed, pretty much.
Yeah, dude, like there's so many parallels. That was the when I saw it when it explains when you go into the cellar and finally the whole story is revealed, right? Like the broad context of the story is revealed. That was what struck me. It was like, oh, this is like Nazi Germany. Marley's like Nazi, and immediately I get this like, oh, anti-Marley feeling where it's like, oh, Marley is kind of like Nazi Germany. They're oppressing these people, and they're just using them as like pawns in their war schemes, right? And if you misbehave, they're gonna send you to paradise, turn you into a titan, and you're fucked forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, you know how like in Nazi Germany they would put a lot of the Jewish people into gas chambers, and this is all well documented, like at camps and stuff like that. And the parallel between the show is they would send them off to paradise where they would be turned into titans. And so that was the comparison that came into my head. But it is interesting what you say about Russia, like how they have all the nukes, where they have all the leverage. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't think it's as good a comparison as like the Nazi Germany Jewish people comparison, because like there is no United States, right? Like
The
no one
issue
else has
is that
titans.
like in the Germany versus like the problem is like Jewish people in the 40s, the 30s, 1930s, 1940s, they didn't have this overwhelming power that the Titans have.
Yeah,
That
it's right.
So it's
but
sort of like in the middle ground where like, yeah, like I mean, 100% Marley is a representation of Germany. I fully believe that. But it's a little bit different of a dynamic because like if we knew that the Jewish people had these like extreme weapons, maybe it would have made a little more like sense from the German perspective
I
to
don't know.
capture these people.
I think it's not a perfect comparison, but it is the imagery that I think is intended.
I
by
think
the
the
message.
author
Yeah.
of the for sure.
Especially with the armbands and how you see that they have a star on them. The armband is a star, and it identifies them as
Of course.
island devils, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the imagery that's trying to be portrayed. But then the story develops further, right? And we start seeing that Marley has a history. That, you know, they go back to clans back in the day. Now it's like modern technology. They have buildings, ships, warships, whatever. But they go back as clans. They started off as clans, and the Eldians were oppressing the shit out of out of Marley and all the other fucking nations and clans of the world with their Titan powers.
Mm-hmm.
And so once the Marley is able to capture some of those Titans for themselves, now they're doing it to them back. So it's kind of like the give and take. So it's like, yeah, like you shouldn't treat these people as second class citizens. And third, also, you know, there's a whole history here that's not as simple as a black and white as what it's made out to be, right? And so the show just has a lot of nuance. The show just has an incredible amount of gray area, and I think the best shows probably do that. Because even if we take an example of like Game of Thrones, where there is no good or bad guy, every party has their own intentions. Every party is you know, has their own goals and history behind it, of what they want to achieve. Ultimately, they're vying for the same thing, and you kind of pick which ones you favor most. But it's like, let's take a look at Game of Thrones, for example, which, spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen it. it's just like Attack on Titan, where like the Lannisters, you know, they're in power, they want to remain in power. People are trying to kill them. They're trying to protect their family, etc. You can see why they would try and protect their family and do whatever they need to do to get there. Then you have the, you know, Daenerys, her whole family was slaughtered. You know, she's trying to reclaim her birthright. She's trying to go back and like basically avenge all the people that everything that was wrongly done to the Targaryens, etc. Then you see, you know, Jon Snow and how he's actually like one of the Targaryens. You know, he's actually like a descendant, and the North has been shit on. You know, they killed his perceived father, you know, Ned Stark, and so he's just out here trying to, you know, lead his people, etc. Dude, there's no good or bad. You know, there's different parties vying for power, and each one has their own motivations. Ultimately, who you most identify with is who you most identify with. But that's very interesting, right? So I think Aaron is a good.
I was about to pull something up, but hold on, give me 1 second. Let me pull it up because you made a good reference with Game of Thrones, which I do want to push back a little bit on. So like not One Piece, Attack on Titan, I feel like has a lot of gray area, and like I can't think of too many characters that are inherently bad. But I do think in Game of Thrones, for example, there are some pretty nasty characters that I don't think have much redeeming qualities. And one of the ones I'm trying to think of is
I can only think of like one, to be honest.
And I think you're thinking of the same one as me.
Who are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of the guy who who at one point overtook the North. I forgot his name.
Oh,
and then
Bolton.
Yeah, the Boltons. Yeah, but the
Bolton
guy. The 20-something-year-old, whatever.
Yeah. Where they had the Battle of the Bastards, which is like an epic fucking episode.
Like that dude is like 100% like.
I think Reese. What's his name? Reese Bolton or I know his dad's name is Roose Bolton.
Ramsay Bolton.
Ramsay, yeah, Ramsay.
And so, dude, he was just evil to the core. Honestly, I think he was deranged. He was.
But was he though, dude? Like, then we talk about more like his upbringing. How his dad, he's a bastard, right? And so, as a bastard, he's treated as a second-class member of his family. Just like Jon, you know, ultimately there's a massive distinction between him and Jon. You can see they draw the parallel of like, look, this is how Jon was raised. This is how Ramsay was raised. And this is how they ended up, right? Ultimately, Jon is like good, right? And then Ramsay is like bad. And they meet together and they do the Battle of the Bastards, right? But look at how the guy was raised, bro. Like his dad beat the shit out of him when he was a kid. His dad would always tell him, hey, you're a piece of shit. You're useless. You know, he was always trying to get his dad's approval. And so he was raised very roughly. So when he becomes an adult and then ultimately, like, takes power, he's a fucking maniac. He's a savage, right? And we can obviously agree that that's not the right way to do things from our modern perspective. But in the context of the show, he's not doing anything worse than, you know, Daenerys' dad would do. You know what I'm saying? Or like the fucking Mad King, where he would fucking burn people alive in the throne room, or like, you know, the other parts, the savage, the fucking North people, how they would fucking murder a bunch of, like, there's a lot of gray in the show, right?
Yeah. But what I'm saying, I mean, that's the whole debate of like nature versus nurture, and should you blame the nurturing of someone on their overall personality? So like that goes like that. That's such a hard argument. But I will say that at the end of the day, if you didn't know the backstory of Ramsay, he was a piece of shit. Like he raped women.
100%.
He treated people terribly. And so, do you feel sympathy that he was brought up that way? Yeah, you do. But I think that's who he is. Like he should go to jail. He should be punished for the actions he's taken.
I don't think it's a matter of. I don't think it's sympathy, because obviously I don't identify with the character. I think it's more. I can see how he got there. You know, I can understand how he got there. Do I agree with it? Do I think he should be that way? Like, is it good? No.
And just bringing this back to, go ahead.
But he's not like an evil. He's not like a cartoon bad character where it's like his motivations are simply that he's always been evil and he just wants to dominate everything. Like, yeah, like some bullshit like that, right? He has motivations derived from the things he's experienced in his life, and he's trying to fill in insecurities and stuff like that. And so this is the way that he knows how to do it, because that's how he was raised by his father, whatever. And so you understand how he gets there. Now, is he a piece of shit? Of course, right? But there's gray there because there's a reason why, and it's not just I'm bad because I'm bad, right? Exactly. It's not bullshit like that. There's like genuine character development there.
Yeah, and just to you made a very great comparison with the whole like Ramsey versus John, like how they were raised and like they started off the same as a kid, and then based on how they were raised, they turned into different people, right? We could bring that way back to Attack on Titan now, trying to stay on topic here, and say that Eren and Zeke were literally the same example of that, where they were born by the same father. The father with Zeke was very cold and calculated, and he was very selfish in how he wanted to actually like take care of his son, and he put Zeke second, and he put his ambitions to be free first. And then you see with Eren later on, he completely switches the script. He truly is a good father to him. And so when we go into this like scene in season 4 where Eren and Zeke are going back in time, and Zeke's trying to tell Eren that my father was a piece of shit. Our father was a piece of shit. Eren's like, no, he wasn't to me, man. He was a great father to me. And then as they're going back in time, you're seeing how Zeke pretty much portrayed his father. And Zeke wasn't wrong in his particular case. He was a bad father to him, but he wasn't a bad father for Eren. And so based on how they were raised, the outcome of how they believe and like their personalities have completely warped. And it got to the point where they made it so black and white where Zeke wants to punish the Eldians for their transparency, like their transgressions pretty much. And Eren wants to save them. And that's from the same father with a similar mother. I know Zeke has royal blood from the mother, but they were raised relatively in the same conditions. They weren't rich. They were both poor families, just living in the walls or like living in their own conditions. So it's very interesting how a lot of these great shows, and One Piece does the same exact thing. One Piece has this whole like comparison between Luffy and Blackbeard, where it was pretty much the same dynamic. Like they weren't born with talent, and Luffy was raised by people that cared about him, nurtured him. Blackbeard is the reverse. But these great shows know how to not paint it as black and white. They know how to show the nuance and the difficulties of growing within an environment. And the reason why it's so great is because it really makes you open up to the idea that most people by nature aren't necessarily evil. It's just there's motivations and triggers that turn people into what they are.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way of rounding it out. It ultimately brings back to like, because all good storytelling makes you like kind of connect with the story and say like, oh, so like it sort of gives you a message for life, right? It's not just a simple for entertainment. Ultimately, it brings it back to like a main theme of like, some people are raised differently, and they have different perspectives on the world based on all of their lived experiences, right? We can debate the merits of that. We can debate, who's right, who's wrong, but ultimately it all comes down to what your perspective on the world is, right?
I think the world right now, just to add to that, I think the world, and then like, we're getting a little off topic with anime, just this one little segment. I think like news media, I think a lot of profitability is dictated on even our government in the US is dictated on black and white. It's either like you're shitting on Republicans or you're for Republicans. It's either you're shitting on Democrats or you're for Democrats. And it's very hard to have a nuanced conversation with people these days saying like, yo, most Republicans aren't bad, bro. They're normal people. Most Democrats aren't bad. They're normal people. And I feel like the narrative, even in like CNN and Fox News, like the two drastic sides of the coin, they make money off of that. They make money off of the divisiveness. They make money off of the controversy.
Yeah.
And I think as a lot of these animes have opened up the idea that no one person is like inherently bad. No one party is inherently bad. It's just they have different value. Obviously, there's like
they have different motivations.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you can see how they would get there, right?
And you can see how they get there.
So I really like it, bro. Like this anime is amazing,
dude. But can we all right? Can we do a whole like Since you're fully caught up,
Yeah, let's talk about like where you see this thing going.
Where do I see this going?
So, what do you think of the story right now? And what do you think is like? How could this potentially end? Right, because there is an ending. How does this potentially wrap up? Right. Because, for example, I haven't watched One Piece as much as you, right? The last part I left off in One Piece is it when they just got to Punk Hazard, which is
you
a
got
long
pretty
time
far
ago.
in then.
I got fairly far in, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They arrived to Punk Hazard, and I kind of just stopped watching after that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see this ending, right? Because in One Piece, I assume the ending is Luffy gets the treasure, right? And that's how they set it up from the beginning. They discover Goldie Roger's fucking treasure, and then he becomes the Pirate King, right? That's how they set up the story in the beginning. Like Naruto becomes the Hokage, right?
Yeah, of course.
So how do you see this ending with Attack on Titan?
Dude, honestly, it is hard to say. So, obviously, let me just recap to where I'm at currently. So, I've watched all the 4 seasons. I think I'm at 1 episode behind. I haven't seen this Sunday's episode. But right now they are Eren just recently released the Titans, the Wall Titans, and they're about to destroy humanity. I believe in the anime they reference how it's already at Marley, like the Titans.
Yeah. They're at they're somewhere. They're already
supposed to be like on the outskirts of Marley.
Yeah,
they're like they're about to enter the.
They're about to get to Marley. They're like in an outskirt area where Annie's dad used to live.
And
right.
As for the actual like, the plot is that Armin, Mikasa, and some of the combined forces of like the Marley Titans, like Reiner, and Annie are combined with all of them, and they're trying to work towards getting to Marley to stop the rumbling. And right now we have very little information. So like the information we have is from the perspective of Armin pretty much, and Annie and Reiner. And the perception I have is we have no idea where Eren is. Like, how do you even find Eren? Right now they're trying to get on the airship, I believe, or the boat, whatever it's called, to then board that and then travel to Marley to prevent the rumbling from occurring. But it looks like a very, very dire situation from the perspective of trying to save civilization. My theory is that the rumbling does take place, but I don't think on the grand scale. I think it like happens partially. I think Marley gets destroyed, but I don't think the world gets destroyed. That's my theory. I don't know how Eren gets stopped. I think it has to come down to like talk no jutsu.
So you think they stop him?
I think eventually they stop him, or maybe he stops himself. I'm not sure which one. But yeah, I can't see a world where like the last like 5, whatever it is, like 10 episodes or 5 episodes, whatever it is like, yep, Eren destroyed the world. Let's start from fresh. It's hard to imagine that. I don't know if it's true or not. I love the anticipation. I actually think the little nuance of like even these episodes where I'm still longing for like the final information to like know what's happening. I love how in this most recent episode, Armin and Connie had to decide to kill their own scout members from the original platoon or whatever it's called, in the same way that Zeke and Bertolt had to do the same thing earlier on in the series to fight their own scout regiment. And the parallels that this show keeps on churning, bro, is just chef's kiss, bro.
Yeah,
having to see like Connie going to try to kidnap Falco, there we go, and try to give him to the mom, and then like even like the like Connie, who was throughout the show, we've really known him as like a very straightforward, maybe not the brightest tool, like the brightest, like bright, you know what I mean, but even he has had moments of like dark thoughts, and I just love how like there's no simplistic character in this show. I would say probably the most simplistic character that they had was Sasha, and then they just killed her ass off with that's kind of fucked. But
it is kind of fucked.
While we're waiting for this all to occur, I'm 1 episode behind, so I haven't seen what happens after this whole fight. That's going.
You haven't seen the most recent episode?
No, the last episode I've seen was was
They pulled up to the port.
pretty much Mikasa like started slashing some scouts. Armin and Connie had to kill their own scout mates, and I
Oh, but
believe
you haven't seen like Falco
I believe
transform.
Falco turns into the
Oh yeah,
Jawbone.
that's the most recent episode.
Did they not have an episode on Sunday?
No, they didn't. The next episode airs I think this weekend, and it is the final episode.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So why didn't they have an episode on Sunday? They just skipped it.
I guess they skipped a week in anticipation or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's too much, bro. They're gonna make a movie, bro. They're gonna make some mad stacks, just
So-
like Demon Slayer, bro.
Yeah. So here's the
That's
thing.
my
From the perspective of someone who knows the ending, we're nowhere near the ending.
How many
There's got-
episodes? How many episodes could you map out in your head of how much is left?
There's got to be at least 5 or 6 more. Like there's
Don't
yeah,
say it.
like
Don't say it.
and it depends because some of these episodes, like some of the things that have to happen are conversations, and there are scenes that are, in my opinion, an episode on its own, right?
Okay, so
and
it's
so-
Talk No Jutsu. I knew
So
it.
no,
bro.
there are some talk no jutsu things going on, but it's not just that, right? I think ultimately to wrap up the story and to finish and finally show Aaron's motivations and everything like that, there are like talk no jutsu scenes that are absolutely critical, but there is a hard ending, and it's crazy how it ends. Like it's what you would never expect how it ends. Like
Dude,
like the
there's
ending
no
is
way
so
to predict this show. I've realized.
like obviously either Aaron destroys the world or he doesn't, right? There's that ending. So there's that thing to predict, but there are things that come with that, right? And so you'll never like be able to grasp what ends up happening. Like it's crazy.
Did you feel like it was an ass pull?
No, it felt like super clean, logical, like perfect consistency towards the end. Like I think Game of Thrones had an ass pull, like garbage ending. Right?
Oh, that was terrible. Don't get
That was-
all right,
that
don't
was
even get me
terrible.
started on
But I
that.
think, but I think that Attack on Titan has a really consistent and great ending. And
Could
I
you,
don't know, bro.
assuming like you know where I am at in the story, do you think it's logical to guess the ending, or it's very hard to?
I think you can guess the ending, but I don't think you can guess the full magnitude of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think you can predict whether or not Aaron destroys the world. That's one, right? Because that's literally what's happening.
Yeah.
And then there's the question of if he does, then everything's fucked, right? And where do we go from there? And if he doesn't, what do things look like after that? Right? Because there's going to be repercussions for the island. People are going to go after them now. Like, holy shit. They did end up being island devils. You know, they did end up trying to fucking kill everybody. You know, what's the future look like for that? Do Reiner and all these people, like the Titans, like who gets, like there's a lot going on, right?
Yeah.
So
No.
the question is, how does it end, dude? Like there's does he or does he not destroy the world? And then there's but more importantly, what is the context around that? I think it's crazy.
I could see a world where like it switches powers again. I could see like the Eldians like holding the power over. I think the most like logical ending to me is the Titans getting destroyed. Like the power has to be removed. If this is ever going to be a peaceful resolution, you can't have the founding you can't have the 9 Titans, I believe, or 7. I think that's the most likely resolution. All of them have to die. That means Armin. I don't understand like the implications of that. I don't know if the world will even trust that. But I think that's the most likely to occur.
All right, so let's just logic it out, right? Why are the Eldians considered island devils? Why are they devils, right? Why do people see them as too powerful, whatever? Why? Because they have the power to fucking turn to Titans, right?
Of course.
But they weren't always like that. They weren't always Titans. Titans didn't always exist from the jump, right? And the anime kind of explains to you like how the origin of the Titans, right?
Yep.
So what's the origin of the Titans?
It was Ymir. Ymir was a slave that worked for a king, And from what I understand, that
the
she
first
was
king of Eldia.
the first king of Eldia. Yeah, but how does it actually like? And then she went to like a tree, I believe.
Right. So she went to the tree, and what happened in that fucking tree?
What did happen?
Remember, she fell in like the water, right? And there was like this bug thing
Oh, it was
in
like
there,
an eel or something, right?
like kind of like this squirmy fucking bug amoeba looking thing
Uh-huh.
that fuses with her, and then she becomes a Titan. And so that's the origin of the Titans, right?
So you could technically kill Ymir.
Ymir's been long dead. What do you mean?
I mean, like in the afterlife or whatever you call it, in the plane.
Oh, so here we go. Everything is about the bug, right? What the fuck is this bug thing? That because even when Aaron gets his head shot off, right, and then he makes contact with Zeke, and then he activates with royal blood with the founding Titan, right? Because Aaron has the founding Titan, and then he makes contact with Zeke. And what is the founding Titan? It's literally that bug, right? It's that bug is what gives the power of the founder. That is the founder, right? Ymir is the one who's the founding Titan.
Transformed from that little slithery snake into that huge monster.
Yeah, and so when Aaron makes contact with the royal blood, which is Ymir's blood from the past, right? Mm-hmm. That's why everything connects on royal blood. And now Aaron's the founder. He makes contact with Zeke, and he like snaps back, and he turns into that giant fucking thing. So the question is, how do you stop Aaron, right? And so if the problem is that the Island Devils are devils because they can be Titans, they can turn into Titans, then how do you ultimately solve that issue?
By removing the bug or removing the people. Either way.
Right. Exactly.
But the thing is in the anime, they haven't told too much. I mean, I know they showed the backstory of the bug, and I know that has relevance, but it seems to be like a DNA trait at this point. Because this bug has occurred for generations. So maybe you get the founding Titan's power to remove that gene.
So you remember in the scene where Ymir's dying and she passes on, she gets eaten by her three kids, Mario, Rose, and Cena, which are what the walls become.
Walls, yeah.
Yeah. And so it just passes down from there. You know what I mean? And so that's where eventually all of the Eldians have that lineage of the bugs. Of the bug, right? So
I know you want to speak and you have all the information. I could see it. Like you're like, oh, you're so close, but
yeah. So I think, but you're sort of on the right track. I think it's ending.
So my final consensus is I don't think the whole world gets destroyed. I think part of the world gets destroyed by the Titans. I think it's going to be an ass pull. And maybe I'm going to learn differently, and I hope so, because Attack of Titans hasn't proved me wrong yet. But my thought process is it has to be an ass pull for them to find Eren. So the only way Eren gets found is if Eren wants to be found. We don't even I mean, technically Zeke's around, but Zeke needs the other part of the core, right? He needs Eren to find Eren, or to use the founding Titan's ability.
Well, so Zeke is with Eren.
Is he?
Remember when Eren is running towards Zeke, and then this girl shoots him and shoots his head off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then that fucking bug reconnects his head to his body, and he explodes and becomes, when he makes contact with Zeke, because Zeke is royal blood and Eren is founding Titan, so that's why they were trying to touch the whole time.
So right? So is Zeke part of the Titan?
So you remember when he becomes that big structure, that big fucking skeletal thing? Zeke is with him there. Like, he's part of the thing.
Okay. So I'm assuming he's held captive or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So then it has to be Zeke, because Zeke has to play an integral role to this. Because that's the only way that I could see it changing, because under no circumstances with the powers that Eren has, he should not be able to be found.
Yo, check this out, dude. We got a little comment someone's watching live, dude. Look at it, showed up on the stream. Awesome content. There you go, bro. Hey, appreciate that.
Appreciate it. What's up, Oscar?
Anyways,
is that one of your boys?
It's my dad, bro.
Is it really?
Yeah, most likely.
That's so
I
funny.
think so. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, bro, like it's crazy how it ends, dude. Very interesting.
All right, final thoughts.
Final thoughts, man. Attack on Titan, one of the best animes I've ever seen, dude. It's really interesting. It's a lot of fun to watch. I would recommend it to anyone. If you haven't seen it and you just sat through this, you're a sadist. You know, you like pain because we just spoiled pretty much everything. But
if you guys want to correct us
check
on
it out,
anything, because we haven't done a deep dive on, because Attack on Titan is hard to digest, bro. It really is. There's a lot of nuance and some deep level thinking to understand some of these points. If we got something wrong, please go ahead and leave a comment correcting us. We're more than willing to accommodate you.
Yeah, because we've been watching over years,
man. Yeah, this is just something we've enjoyed as like content piece. I've even watched YouTube videos on like trying to understand certain episodes. It just like sometimes it's just a lot, man.
Yeah, and we've been watching it over years, right? So it's hard to remember like what happened in season 1 because I watched it so long ago. So it kind of comes back up in discussion. But if you're someone who has just recently binged all of it, then you're probably much more aware of the minute details than we are. So if we missed anything or we said some stupid shit that didn't actually happen, let us know in the comments. Send us a message. You can hit us up on socials. I put our link tree in the description where you can see all of our social media. And let us know if you enjoyed it. So Eric, it's been fucking fun, bro.
Yo, it's been fun. Love this episode. I want to do a next episode, whether it's the next one or a few out of
in the future,
top 5 animes, bro.
Top 5 animes
top
for
5
sure.
Animes.
Attack on Titan is one of the best, is one of the really good ones, but there are better ones, and we could talk about them later. But anyways, take care, guys. Thanks for watching.
It's been a great episode.
Great episode.
Lovely.
And we really appreciate you being here with us. So we're gonna go ahead and end it here. All right, peace out, guys.